Timbers and Thorns General Manager and President of Soccer, Gavin Wilkinson, joins Ross Smith and me on Timbers in 30 this week. Gavin, as a guy who is so integral in building this roster, it's got to be satisfying to see the team finish top of the West after the regular season.
Yeah, I think so. I think Caleb said it. I think after 34 games to be at the top of the West shows the body of work, shows the level of investment from the staff, from Caleb, from myself, from Ned Grabavoy, etc. And it addressed what we failed in last year, which was we didn't achieve what we set out to achieve. We didn't make playoffs, and I think we were honest at the end of 16, coming into the start of 2017, on what we needed to fix.
So important as well. The brand of football has been talked about this year. A couple of managers across the league have been let go, citing they need more attacking football. What is it about the brand for the Portland Timbers that makes it so attractive?
I think I'd give Caleb and his coaching staff a lot of credit. I think we find players to play a certain way. I think the philosophy ever since Caleb came in 2013, that we wanted to be proactive, we wanted to be on the front foot in the way that we played, and we wanted special players. I think with what we've been able to build over time, some of the consistent pieces, the Diego Charas, the Darlington Nagbys have obviously been integral to everything we've done, the Diego Valeris. And then when you're able to sprinkle in some other quality players that we've acquired over time, and especially coming into this year, prior to the 2015 season, I think it definitely helps. But we have a strong philosophy that's driven by Caleb and the coaching staff. Obviously, he's well regarded as one of the best coaches in this country, and I think it's the body of work. I think it's the daily investment of all the coaching staff into playing the way that we want to play, and it's the execution of the players and the players being invested in the organisation. I think it's many, many layers, and there's a reason Caleb's on a long-term contract. There's a reason that we've backed him. There's a reason that we've been successful over time. I think some of the side points in 13 to now, 2 Western Conference Championships, an MLS Cup. In the time that Caleb's been here, we've been one of the top 4 teams in points achieved over that time span. So we rely on analytics. It doesn't replace the eye, but we're looking at the team. We're looking at the progression of the team. Caleb looks at the team week in, week out. Did we hit our KPIs? What do we need to improve on? How do we need to move forward? So we're progressive, we're committed, hardworking. You could go on about it, but I think a lot of it is we're honest. We looked at what we failed in and we addressed it, and I think we got the majority of it right.
You talk about the progression. How difficult is it behind the scenes to progress at the rate to which the league is growing and to bring in the right players that are going to grow with the talent that's coming into the league amongst all other teams?
A great question. I think some of the things that we've learned is you need players, first of all, that are invested and they want to be a part of the club and they share in the vision of the club. And one of the things coming into 17 was not only looking at the player from every different facet, whether they're going to fit into the personalities around, do they speak English, have they played overseas before, do they bring the physical profile that we need, do they bring the tactical elements, etc., etc. So the scouting and the recruitment part of it is one thing. Then you start to look at the personality of the player, and you would say Sebastian Blanco, bringing him in as a DP, replacing Lucas Milano. The difference is he wants to be here. He wants to be here for all the right reasons. He loves what the club represents, what the club is doing, and he places a value on it. So when we're looking at competing, we're always going to be different. We're always going to be Portland. We have objectives of where we want to finish every single year, and what we spend is obviously very aggressive, but it's not to the Atlantas, it's not to the Toronto FC. So we're also going to be realistic in what our objectives are and where we want to finish. So for us, we always expect the most, but we expect the players to also want it. And this is coming back to, we have to stay competitive. We have to keep getting better. Even at the end of this year, we have to be honest and look at the team and saying, where did we succeed? Where can we get better? And we'll start the process all over again.
Gavin, I want to turn our attention to the Portland Thorns. Second title for the team. You, of course, also the president and GM of soccer of the Thorns. Your perspective on the season ultimately ending in a championship?
A special season for the Thorns, and when you look at the Thorns and their relevance in women's football across the world, they're a special team and they're a great story. I think the best part about this year was the collective group of girls and the camaraderie within the locker room, and obviously the success that they had on the field. But to have a second championship is very, very important for the Thorns. We do want to separate ourselves as being one of the best women's teams in the world. Having 2 NWSL Championships is paramount to that. And our vision is a lot more than just achieving those 2. We want to become relevant year in, year out. And obviously the ceiling's the limit for us. The sky's the limit. But we need to keep the group together. We need to look at it, making a few key acquisitions. And the coaching staff, again, has done a tremendous job there, and it's a matter now of can we continue to move forward.
Well, we've asked you a couple of questions about the Timbers. Onto the Thorns. For you and your daily working schedule, what's it like for having to balance that? Is it so much time for the Thorns, so much time for the Timbers, or you just take it as it comes towards you?
No, I think, and again, being completely transparent, Timbers is what drives the organisation. It's what has made the Thorns possible. And on the Thorns staff, it's set up a little bit differently. The coaching staff on the Thorns is running a lot of the responsibilities, and you know, when it comes to the budgets, the projections, the finances, the overall team roster relative to the cap, etc., that's where I get involved. But at this stage of the season, it's 100% Timbers, as it should be. And I think we've got time to look at Thorns in the coming months.